What's going on, trading card game players? Figs here with Figs Forum, bringing you guys the local formula series number 2. So just wanted to go ahead and showcase for you guys the Fender Night build that I was playing for this week at locals. It was actually pretty insane. The end board is actually very good. It definitely utilizes a lot of what the deck is capable of doing in terms of getting free resources off of Bardiche. So it does abuse quite a few cards. There are some bricks in here, not as bad actually as the Mikanko list. It actually plays less cards that you ideally can't play from hand when you draw them, which is really nice, but there are still cards you ideally don't want to see. So I just want to go ahead and showcase this for you guys and not discuss it too much. But I did have some success with it this week. You know, it definitely did play the way that I wanted it to. It is very glass cannon, unfortunately. So it does have a hard time dealing with things like Nibiru, but I am working on another list here for next week's locals that is actually slightly different. It does utilize almost the same combo, but it ends differently and it does allow you to play the deck a little bit differently. So will be probably some significant changes from this list to the next, but let's go ahead and showcase it for you guys. And at the end of the video, definitely stay tuned for the combo. I'll go ahead and showcase it for you guys, doing it the best way possible. So it'll be 2 different lines with Tour Guide as well as the Punk Engine. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so we'll go ahead and get into the Phantom Knight cards first. As always, those are always the first things we go over, but I'm going to go through it quickly because, again, the cards that don't need any explanation, I'll explain. Things that I feel like could be changed, I'll touch on as well. But as usual, we've got the same package as always, the 2 Torn Scale, the 3 Torn Scale, the 2 Cloak, the 3 Boots, the 1 Greaves, and the 1 Gloves. So, this is pretty standard, same thing as we always do. I don't think there's any need for change because ideally we do want to see most of these cards, as we need them. Then we have the Foolish and the Rhoda just to complement the deck. Foolish is actually very important in this list as well. It actually hits a lot more cards than just the Fender Knight cards. Then we've got here the the 1 Shade Burgundy and the 3 Fog Blade. So we decided to go with this. I feel like this is probably the most optimal way to play this, because you aren't focusing so much on using Fog Blade or a Revive from Grave ability. We're mostly focused on the Shade Burgundy, but we'd want to have the ability to be able to have multiple turns, and you'll see why in the extra deck and how the combo works. It's possible that going into our next turn, if our opponent does decide to pass without scooping, that we're not able to essentially win the game right away. So you want to be able to have access to Bardiche. Usually when I resolve this combo, my opponent's either scooped or they realize why they had to scoop by the time they ended their turn. So you'll definitely see, and I felt like this was the best. You can probably play 2 Fog Blade instead of 3, but I felt like playing 3 as it's an insane card, and because a lot of your deck is a 1-card combo, it's actually nice to open. So this is the spice of the deck. We've got ourselves the 1 Cyberstein and our small little Spright package. So I'll show you in the combo why we're playing these. These are actually really great, and as I said, these aren't as bad of bricks as other cards are, because as long as we put a level 2 on board, we are able to summon these. So drawing this is actually very playable. Drawing this, it makes it playable, especially if we see another one, or if we see these in conjunction with each other. And then the reason why I play Double Cross instead of the Smashers is because this is actually better for our end board. Also, in the event that I do summon Cherubini and my opponent interrupts my graph, I can actually, if I open this, I can set this and actually use it on my Cherubini to steal something. So it is actually pretty good. It does allow me to be able to do a little bit more, and I can also bring back my graph in the next turn if they're not able to deal with my Cherubini, and then be able to keep playing. So that's the small little Spright package we're playing. And then here we have our Psychic, I guess I'll call it our Psychic and Punk Engine. So you've got the 3 Punk Monsters, of course the 3 E-Telly, the 1 Tracker, and the 2 Wielder. So we're playing it like this because honestly the Punk package is actually the best part of the combo in this deck. It actually is the best part of the combo in this deck and the next. We don't like to see any of these cards. I mean, they aren't the best to see. Zeamin, of course, you can see that as a normal summon. So I have considered actually bumping it up to 2, just in case we do see 1 and we do have an E-Telly, at least allows us to be able to have 2. Or in the event that we have like a Zeamin and a Foxy, we can always do 2 level 3s to play that way as well if need be. But I definitely think that the 1/1/1 as well as the 3 E-Telly is great. This is the best actually starter in the deck, because it does us full combo without actually needing any other additional cards except for something for us to discard with Foxy Tune. And then we went with 2 Wielder, 1 Tracker, because of course this is secret, and again, we don't have to activate an ability in order to play this card. We have a lot of normal summons, so we want to make sure that we have extenders that don't activate, and we don't want to do dangers because we don't want to draw cards, because a lot of these cards in the deck we just don't want to draw. So yep, that's why we have that for the psychic package. And then we have the second best combo card in the deck, which is our tour guide. We've got the tour guide, we've got the Graph the Sir, and the two Kagemusha. These are really nice. Obviously, tour guide's a one card full combo as well, but it does utilize a normal summon, so it is less important, I guess I would say, than the E-Telly. But it definitely does the job. It does allow us to full combo. It gets us to where we need to for the entire combo without having to commit an additional card. So it definitely does help. And then obviously the Kagemusha just complements the tour guide in terms of being able to avoid Ash. Although in most situations, I'd rather my opponent Ash the tour guide than to Ash our Graph and the Bardiche, because those are obviously our most hardest choke points. Then we've got ourselves one Taki Tomborg and one Terratop. So I'm actually considering cutting this. I like it because it is a one card starter, but unfortunately it is not a full combo one card starter. We do have to have actually an additional name. The difference between this and tour guide is that tour guide actually brings out Graph, which allows us to be able to use Cherubini to send a Phantom Knight name. This actually forces us to have an additional monster in hand. So even though this is a one card starter and gets us a one card Bardiche, it is not a one card full combo. You do have to have an additional name. And essentially you actually have to have a Phantom Knight name. So this will probably end up coming out. I probably will end up cutting this for just probably consistency, trying to get the deck down. The deck is at 50. So I think it'd be best to try to cut it down a little bit, but I definitely do like this because actually playing into boards, it's great. Having this just does so much. This was definitely a huge break. Unfortunately, there's like no wins in the deck, not even in the extra deck. So this definitely did hurt a lot, but the Terratop is just really good. And if it ever came back to 3, it'd still be a great card to play, even with the 1 brick. So that's it for extenders and stuff. We'll go over the going second cards. So I went ahead and did 3 Nib, 3 Ash. I feel like these are the most important hand traps that we can play in terms of monsters, because they do allow us to be able to deal with just a lot of cards that we want to make sure that we can stop. Cash is the biggest thing. So if we can stop them from going into their full combo, this obviously stops them from getting into Diabolos, which will, interrupt our extra deck, which is nice. And if they don't see what we're playing, that's even better, because they won't know. They think it's Phantom Knights, but then they're getting hit with something completely different. So yeah, these were the best cards for going second. And then we have the 3 Book of Eclipse, because as I said, Cash is unfortunately the worst matchup. And then we have the 3 Imperm. The 3 Imperm, again, is for the Rise Heart. It's definitely something to have, something nice to have just to deal with. We wanted at least 12 going second cards, because I feel like this is actually the most optimal way of being able to defend ourselves while being able to play the game. The Imperm is probably the most difficult card in terms of deciding whether or not to play, because of the fact that our deck actually relies very heavily on Shade Brigandine. So seeing this in the opening, it's worth being able to stop your opponent from playing. And most of the time, if you're going second, you're going to end up OTKing them anyways. I have never not had a problem OTKing my opponent going second, unless they just drew a lot of interruption, or my interruptions that I have here in front of me were not able to stop them from being able to solidify a full board. So, and again, it's Phantom Knights, so you're able to pretty much control your opponent's board, but in the same regard, be able to actually deal with their entire board. So let's go ahead and get into the extra deck. So I do have one card in here that's actually upside down, because I give it back to my buddy, so I don't have it in person, so I do apologize. But I'll explain what it is, and I'll throw a picture up of what it is as well. So we've got our 1 Evil Swarm Nightmare. Then we've got our other rank 4 would actually be the Dugaris. I think it's like number 90 or something like that, but as I said, I had given it back to my buddy, so I don't have access to it at the moment. Then we've got our 2 Phantom Knight Breaksword. This is actually something that I could consider cutting down to 1, just because we're not actually using Breaksword in our first turn for combo. We want to have access to it in the event we do get interrupted. So if they do stop our Graph, we are able to get the Bardiche and we are able to keep playing. This is actually our best way of being able to set up a board with the Evil Swarm Nightmare. So I definitely think this is the best way to do it. So yeah, I definitely, 2 I think is okay in the event that you get interrupted in a certain way, but you can actually cut it a little bit down. Then of course 1 Zeus, because Zeus is Zeus. Then for our rank 2s, we have Dejin Buster and the Gigantic Spright. This is basically what we're putting on our end board along with other cards. So this is very important in how we're playing the deck. And as I said, I'll show you guys how we get about it. Then we have our Access Code Talker. That's going second card. It just allows us to kill our opponent, especially with Bardiche. We have ourselves a Unicorn, Bardiche, Cherubini, Sprind, and IP Masquerena. So this allows us to be able to have access to as much utility as possible, as well as other options for setting up our board. We are able to make IP Masquerena along with other cards that allows us to be able to interrupt our opponent. So yeah, this is the most important cards that we need. And I definitely think the access code and the unicorn are great because we also don't want to play too many XYZs because of the fact that we could get hit with a dimensional barrier, which would feel really bad. So I definitely think this is the best option for going second. And it's very easy to make, of course, in this deck. So then we have our Punk, Jam, Dragon Drive. Card's insane. I absolutely love it, especially with the Punk engine. As I said, it is definitely the best engine in playing the deck because it's a one card that just literally does everything we wanted to do from start to finish. And then we have Neteria Exterio. So this is what our premise of what we're doing. We're basically just dumping the Cyberstein and then we're making Exterio. So let me go ahead and go into the combo for you guys. I'll make it very quick. I'll do both lines actually with Tour Guide and with the Punk line just so that you guys can understand both and see how the lines work for both because they are the same to a certain point, but the beginning of them obviously is very different. So we'll go ahead and get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So we're going to go ahead and start with the E-Telly. We'll go through the Punk line. It just requires an E-Telly in any random card. Doesn't matter what it is. Hopefully it's not a trap. But of course, we can send anything from our hand. So we'll just go ahead and choose a random Book of Moon just to solidify, showing you that the one card, literally E-Telly, and any other card to discard off of Foxy is just the best way to do it. So we'll go ahead and activate Emergency Teleport. That's going to go ahead and get us our Zeaman. Zeaman's going to go ahead and search. We're going to go ahead and grab our Foxy Tune. Then we're going to go ahead and activate Foxy Tune. And we're going to send Book of Eclipse. That's going to allow us to go ahead and get Deer Note. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to synchro summon those two for Jam Dragon Drive. Then Dragon Drive is going to go ahead and search us either the Psychic Wielder or the Psychic Tracker. I prefer to go for Wielder because Tracker can be brought out with E-Telly and is a little bit bigger of a body. Then we're also going to use Deer Note to target the Zeaman. And then we always do Zeaman's effect as Chainlink 3 to give this a boost to chain block the rest. So we're going to go ahead and have these. Then we're going to go ahead and special summon the Wielder. We'll go ahead and send these two for a Cherubini. Cherubini is going to go ahead and dump Graph. Graph will activate and actually get us our Sir. Then we're going to go ahead and link these two away. And we're going to go ahead and make our Bardiche. Then we're going to go ahead and use Sir to bring back our Cherubini. We're going to go ahead and activate the Bardiche, getting us Cloak to Grave and Shade to Field. We're going to go ahead and link these two away to make ourselves a copy of Sprint. Sprint effect is going to go ahead and send us the Cyberstein. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to banish the Cloak to add us a copy of Staingreaves. We're going to activate the Shade Brigandine, trigger his effect, making him a level 4. We're going to go ahead and 90, I believe it is. We're going to go ahead and detach these two, targeting the Cyberstein. We're going to go ahead and activate, pay 5,000. So we actually do pay a lot of life points. We pay 6,200 just to activate or do this full combo with one card. That'll get us Exterio. Then we're going to go ahead and overlay these two, which will allow us to bring out the Spright Sprint. Sprint's effect, we'll go ahead and detach the Cyberstein, obviously to keep that at a bigger level. To go ahead and summon the Blue. Blue's going to search, get us Jet. Jet's going to special, get us the Double Cross. And then we're going to go ahead and overlay these two for the Dejin Buster. So ideally, I mean, if you don't have an extender for this, then you can just put it all in attack mode. Because Ugaris is actually going to make us go ahead and skip our main phase 1. So we're going to go pretty much straight into battle. So we don't want to, not have these in attack mode because our opponent's actually just not going to be able to play the game. They don't have access to spells. So that's going to stop them from being able to activate any spells. We have a monster effect negation, and then we have the ability to steal a monster and put it under our Spright Sprint, or our Gigantic Sprint. So it is actually pretty good. And that was just 2 cards. So, if you open up a Fog Blade, you have access to an extender. There are many different ways for you to be able to actually do something slightly different. If we do have access to a normal summon and we had Torn Scale, we could actually just normal summon the Torn Scale prior to Gigantic and use these two to actually go into IP Masquerena, so that we're actually able to use IP Masquerena's ability with an additional card in hand to be able to go into Unicorn. So if we use Dejin's effect to negate something, we can go ahead and activate IP Masquerena and go ahead and hit Unicorn. And again, that's game in itself. So we could steal a card and bounce a card. And then if they have no monsters on board, that's game. So yeah, that's the combo with the Spright cards. So I wanted to showcase that for you guys. So we'll go ahead and get into the combo with Tour Guide. All right, so let's go ahead and showcase the combo here for you guys with the Tour Guide. And Tour Guide is legit a 1-card combo. You need nothing else but literally a tour guide. So we'll go ahead and normal summon the tour guide. We'll activate its effect to bring back our graph from deck. We're going to go ahead and link these two away for a Cherubini. Graph's going to trigger getting us our Sir. We're going to go ahead and activate Cherubini, sending our Torn Scale. Then we're going to go ahead and link these two away to get ourselves the Bardiche. Then we're going to go ahead and activate Sir, targeting Cherubini. We're going to use Bardiche, sending our Cloak, setting our Shade Brigadine. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to activate our Cloak, getting ourselves a copy of Stain Greaves. Then we're going to go ahead and trigger the Torn Scale. At this point, you can pitch something. Ideally, you do want to, because it is going to get you an additional card and or extender, but we're going to go ahead and, just for the purpose of it, show you the one card. So banish those two, make Sprint. Sprint's effect, send Cyberstein, activate, make this a level 4. Overlay those two, Dugaris, detach 2. Bring back Cyberstein. Cyberstein's effect, pay 5,000. Then we're going to go ahead and overlay these two for Gigantic, Blue, Jet. And then we'll go ahead and grab the double cross. Overlay these two for Gin Buster. So it's ideally the same combo, except this time you're actually not even using an additional card. It's literally tour guide into this entire board. So it gives you access to a lot of interruption, and then that allows the rest of your hand to literally just be whatever you want it to be. So if you've got, interruptions like Fog Blade, which is why we play 3 Imperm, those are great cards to obviously open with this combo as well, because it does give you the additional cards to be able to interrupt your opponent after making a board like this. Fog Blade is the biggest one, just because of the fact that you're able to deal with it so easily, especially if you Fog Blade them and they can't continue playing. A lot of times you'll have like the IP Masquerena, and that's why it was really nice to be able to have the Torn Scales, because if you open up Torn Scales with like a Fog Blade, it gives you an additional body. Also being able to open up another name. So like if you have another Phantomknight monster in hand next to Tour Guide, and you get to this point, you're actually able to just banish the Greaves before you do Sprint and just make, IP Masquerena with the Dugaris. So, and that's where you get your additional body for Unicorn. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely options to be able to extend. I felt like this was the one of the best ways of being able to utilize that combo. Hope you guys definitely enjoyed the combo tutorial for both the Punk engine and the Tour Guide engine. The one thing I definitely will say, the next version that I do have coming up actually does utilize the same board, but we're actually going to be using Ibli to lock out our opponent's board, as well as setting up the Exterio. So hopefully you guys can catch that and see how I go about doing it. If you guys do, throw it down in the comment section below, so you guys can let me know what type of formula you guys think I'm going with next. But yeah, it's actually going to be pretty good as well. I think that deck actually is going to utilize, having less bricks. It'll actually go down to 45, I believe, and will also be able to allow us to have some protection through things like cross out and called by, while also having going second card. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely feel free to jump in the comment section down below, as always, and definitely go ahead and chat it up, and we can discuss the build, as well as any questions or suggestions that you guys might have. I definitely enjoy doing this type of content and coming up with these crazy builds for you guys. So I hope you guys definitely enjoy them. Give me a like, give me a, so just go ahead and subscribe. Definitely follow the channel. Let me know what you guys think. And hopefully you guys enjoy all of my content that I keep putting out. My locals is definitely having a blast seeing the different things that I enjoy putting together with the deck. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. And, stay tuned for the next video.